Hello, I'm Brett Gilliland, host of the Circuit of Success podcast, and here's what's coming up.
You know, I love the word coaching, but really the word coaching is very similar, just the word mentoring, right?
Yeah.
So we want to mentor, and that's what our kids today need more than ever. They need our connection. They need our mentoring, because without a healthy parental figures in their life, we already know what's going to happen. They're going to be a freaking hot mess, and they're going to cause more problems in society and in their families. And that's what we're seeing all around, everywhere we look, right?
Welcome to the Circuit of Success. I'm your host, Brett Gilliland. Today, I've got my buddy, Sean Donohue, with me. Sean, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, Brad, what's up? Hey, really happy to be here.
It's good to be with you. You coming to us from California out there, and so what's your hat say? Appeal to heaven with a tree there. I like that. You always get the coolest hats.
You know, thank you. You know, I actually find patches online, and then I put them on random hats because I want to have like unique hats. This hat, an appeal to heaven, it's got a little tree on it. This was one of the first United States flags. In fact, George Washington and the homies, they needed a flag to put on their ships because they didn't have a country. So they came up with this flag, an appeal to heaven, so that they could distinguish between our ships and the freaking Great Britain communists that were coming down trying to steal our all our stuff.
That's awesome, man. I had no idea.
Cool. It's a cool story, huh?
Idea. Yeah, that is a very cool story.
I'm surprised we don't see this patch of this flag more often, because I mean, it's just like America. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Screams America, even though I didn't know it screamed America. I love it.
It really does, right.
Well, yeah. Sean Donohue is the family coach, man. You are big on social media and have made a wave, I guess, on TikTok. I'm new to this TikTok thing. My kids told me I had to get on TikTok, but you've got like, 500,000, 1 million, whatever it is, followers and some good stuff. And again, you are the family coach. You and I have spent a great deal of time together in the year of 2023. I'm always very transparent and vulnerable on these podcasts. And so Sean is the guy that helps me with my crazy life, right? With, running a business, having 4 kids, a marriage, all the things that we do to try to, just live life, man, and be the best we can be. I have personally hired Sean and working with him in 2023, and it's been phenomenal. And so I had to have him on the podcast, and so here we are today. But with all that being said, Sean, if you can, I always have people give us a little lay of the land on what's made you the man you are today, because you don't just wake up and help hundreds of thousands of people have better families. So what is it that has made you the man you are today?
Oh my goodness! Well, I'm a little flattered by the invitation, because I love being on people podcasts, Brett, but I consider you a friend and a client. So I've never been on a friend's podcast before. So this is like really cool, because I feel like I know you, I trust you. I feel like you have helped me to be a better man just by our times together and sharing life together. And so that's so thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think that to answer your question, the first thing I think of, actually, when you ask me about who I am as a 44-year-old man, married for 18 years, 3 daughters, is other men. Other men. I do love my own dad, and I did have a good experience with my stepdad growing up, but it was they're not my primary mentors. I had to reach out to other men when I was in my teens and 20s and 30s, because I was just a hot mess of a man. And I don't really blame myself, because, you don't know what you don't know. And so I had some challenges in my childhood and my young adult life, and I just craved to be a healthy man. I craved to be a good dad and a healthy businessman, and I knew I didn't have it. I knew I had to get it. And so I got it from books, and then I got it from going up to other men and just surrounding myself with other healthy men who were smarter than me and knew a lot more about life. So that's the first thing I think of, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. And again, you've been doing this family stuff for 20 years, right? Because social media is new, and you've kind of gotten this crazy following, but yet this is what you've really dedicated your life to, as being in that world, right?
Yeah, man. The first, I was just telling one of my daughters about this. First thing I ever got passionate about was actually stand-up comedy and comedy writing. I did that even before I was 21. I even performed in the Comedy Store, which is only 21 and up, when I was 20 years old. And then I started volunteering with kids in after-school program and youth groups and Christian type stuff. And it just was this calling. It was like, I'm not supposed to be in entertainment. I'm supposed to be spending my life around kids and around families. And so, yeah, now I'm an old man and I'm not as cool as I used to be. So I don't connect with the kids as well as I used to. So I spend most of my time now just being with like-minded parents who are in the thick of it. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, the social media thing has been really fun. It's a grind. It's a whole different gamut, and it comes with lots of pros and cons. But yeah, it has been helpful to help me just help people and spread the love and to put tools in people's toolboxes, Brett.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a big believer in coaching. You know, I love sports, and you know, you think about whether it's the best golfers in the world, and you know, you look at even yesterday the Masters got done, and you know, I'm watching John Rahm after his round. You know, he's
Oh
loving on
yeah.
his wife, his kids, but
Oh
you
yeah.
see the people right that are there for him, and I say, okay, that guy knows a mental mindset coach on tour. That guy's a nutritionist. That guy's a strength guy. I mean, they're surrounded with people, right, that are helping
Yes.
them get to the level they want to. And I think that you and I both believe this. Obviously, it's what you do for a living. It's what I do for a living, helping people with their money and their goals and their dreams and aspirations. But how important is coaching and spending time with others and learning from them?
Well, he actually saw that social media post you made, and I totally agree. I mean, you look at these athletes, these professional athletes, they're just surrounded by other people. They are not in it alone. And what's so cool about what's happening between me and you and everyone listening to this podcast right now, Brett, is that, men, we've always had a growth mindset towards different things. Like this is not a new term. Now it's the term's like 15 years old, but this is not a new psychological concept of men. We are builders, we are creators, we are artists, we are providers. And so, I wasn't there back in the 1700s when my relatives in Ireland were grinding, planting potatoes and trying to keep their,
Yeah.
families alive. But I have a feeling the old Donahues of the past, they were men of great strength and they were fighters and they would protect their family, but they were always growing to try to improve their land, improve themselves. But now what's happening is that we have a generation of men, just like everyday men like you and I, who have a growth mindset towards parenting, towards family life. It's like, I can't speak for our dads. They're not here right now, Brett. But I don't think our dads were going to like a parenting conferences, back when we were growing up in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, or whenever y'all grew
Right.
up. You know what I mean? And so,
Totally.
yeah,
Yeah,
like,
you're
so yeah,
absolutely right.
so I mean, I wasn't like, the reason I got here is because I had to learn mostly from women about the art of parenting and family dynamics. And so, yeah, now we're here because, we might say family is the most important thing. We might have our last name tattooed on our back, or we say we love our kids more than anything. But what's so cool is that now we are, as men, we are very different than the generations before us, because we're really into this thing called parenting. It's like, yeah, we want our kids to obey and cooperate and respect and become successful. We also, we want to be close.
Yeah.
We want to be connected. We want to mentor them, right? That is like, I love the word coaching, but really the word coaching is very similar, just the word mentoring, right? And
Yeah.
so we want to mentor, and that's what our kids today need more than ever. They need our connection. They need our mentoring, because without a healthy parental figures in their life, we already know what's going to happen. They're going to be a freaking hot mess, and they're going to cause more problems, in society and in their families. And that's what we're seeing all
Yeah.
around everywhere we
Yeah.
look, right?
Yeah, and I think too, it's man, you look at business people and non-business people, but just really anybody, these families that have a tight, cohesive unit. I mean, that's what I pray and hope for, right? With my four boys, is that they want to continue to be around me and
Yeah.
all that stuff. And I mean, that's the definition of success now, right? It's not the success in business as much as the success that when my kids kind of go to college and go away, that they want to
Right.
come back around. And, like yesterday, I keep talking about the Masters, but I got to spend the day on Easter Sunday and watch the golf tournament. My mom and dad and a bunch of other families were around, but we were dialed into the golf tournament because that's what I remember, doing as a kid. And so it's cool to do
Yeah.
that. And I want to continue to do that with my kids. And are you seeing a big change in that?
Yeah, definitely. My work is, I think, I'm happy to say it's very effective. Lots of happy clients. And when you say change, I also see like change happens when a mom or a dad gets motivated to create positive change in their family and their dynamics, to break those painful cycles. It changes the world. I mean,
Yeah.
we talk about how influential media is on our kids, and that's fine. It's true. but the most powerful person, in a child's life is their own parents.
Yeah.
And just to compliment you, I mean, you just let me affirm you for a second. Like, if you ask 10 people, what's the definition of a successful man? You're going to get 10 different responses. But
Yeah,
for me,
for sure.
I view you as very successful. Because what is success? I mean, success is, I really don't even know much about your business. I did look, I love your social media. But I mean, look what you're doing. You're really, you have a loving family. You have 4 imperfect kids. You're an imperfect dad, and you're in the grind, loving them, learning with them, sharing problems with them,
Yeah.
humanizing yourself to them. And now you're in this role of being their father, but also being their mentor. And now you've shifted clearly part of your business where you spend your free time, on a podcast, giving
Right.
encouragement, giving support, giving free knowledge and mentoring and coaching to so many people, because we could all learn so much from you about all these things. Like, you have your book out and your calendar and this whole, all these, trying to be successful in all these different areas of our life. So just
Yeah.
happy rapping with you about this stuff, man.
I love it. I love it. So let's talk. So most of these podcasts I do are around mindset and business and success, right? And I've had people say, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing some parenting stuff on here?" And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So obviously, you can't dive into the details of your clients and tell us all that stuff, but in today's world, it's crazy. It's, the constant notifications, it's social media, it's our kids want our phones, and we are busy with as parents and all the stuff, right? We all live kind of the same life. I call it the treadmill of life. And
Yeah,
we have to
man.
really take ourselves off the treadmill of life. And I do it through coaching with you and through other things. But what's the constant themes that you're seeing amongst families that you're helping right now and who you're coaching?
Oh man, well, the biggest, yeah, 2 things come to mind. The first thing come to mind is when you used to, back in when we were growing up, when you used to think about a really hurting child, a hurting teenager. I mean, I would guess the most of us would be thinking about those, those kids that were just party hard, right? They're getting caught up in pot or violence or drugs, like you see in the movies. You know what I mean?
Right.
Those are the troubled kids. It's like like you even think that movie Days of Confused, like that Matthew McConaughey figure that we love to quote. What does he
Yeah.
say? Like, he's so funny. That's like the movie that made him funny. Like, that dude was like a creeper because he was like
Right.
18, 19, 20. He's flirting with high school girls. Like, we all laugh. But that's the type of kid you would think about back in the day, like a troubled kid. But nowadays, I mean, these screens they've not only impacted the entire childhood experience, they've impacted the entire parenting experience. Our screens have even impacted the human experience. And so I've been seeing so many problems, come up with screens and how they are impacting our family dynamics, how they're impacting us as husbands or wives, trying to be close and connected to each other. And so it's just causing so many problems. And furthermore, what's caused even more problems that these companies like Google and Apple, I mean, they are just all in it for the dollar. So they have just screwed us everyday parents with giving us all this technology without very many good, helpful parental restrictions or knowledge about how to use it. Now, we've come a long way in the last 10 years, because I've been doing this for a long longer than that. But yeah, there's just a lot of hurting parents out there right now because of screens. And these parents, they feel lost and they feel
Yeah.
confused, frustrated. Like, what is going on here?
So what do you do, and whether it's you personally as your family or the families again that you work with, what are the tools? I know you talk about the toolbox, right? The parenting toolbox, and I
Yeah.
don't get to see your toolbox and you don't get to see my toolbox and all that
Yeah,
stuff,
man.
but like what's in the toolbox now for those parents that these kids, man, they want these phones, right? They want them and it's hard to get them away
Right.
and to take it away sometimes can be like World War III starting, right? So what
For
tools are you
sure.
helping parents with, and how are you even helping your own teenage daughters get off
Man,
the phone and spend more time away from that stuff?
you might really love my answer and you might hate it, because I don't, I think my answers sometimes frustrate people because I don't really answer questions directly. Sometimes I feel like they're direct answers, but so let me answer this in a few different ways, and let me get your thoughts on it, because I'd love to get your thoughts, because I feel like
Yep.
this is a weird answer, and maybe you think it is, or maybe you think it's not weird. Parenting is like never about what it's about. So on the surface, it might be about screens. or it might be about your kid won't empty the freaking dishwasher or clean up the freaking dog poop or the cat litter box. On the surface, it might seem like your kid's getting salty when grandma and grandpa come over for Easter because they want to do X, Y, and Z, but it's never really about that. It's always about something else. So how I help people solve problems to be the parent they want to be and to raise the kids that they want is to slow down and first like realize that mindset is everything. How you look about your life and your parenting is everything. So when it comes to screens, for example, it's almost never about a screen. It's normally about trust. Either you have trust or the relationship is lacking trust. Either the young person has shown to you that they're trustworthy around a screen, which is the world's most powerful device,
Hmm.
or the young person has shown you, look, I'm just a young person. And this is a very powerful device that's affecting my psychology and my emotions, my identity. And I really need your help in developing a healthy, trusting relationship with this screen. So that's first thing I think of, Brett.
Yeah. But again, I think it's easy to say that, but what happens when you
It
go
is.
in and they've been wanting to just sit on their phone for, an hour and a half, 2 hours instead of, coming out of their room. And maybe there's parents out there, and I know I've done this in the past, like, get off your damn phone, right? Like,
Right. Who
go do
hasn't done
this,
that?
go do
Yeah.
A, B, and C. So, like, that
Right.
doesn't work. It
No, it
doesn't work,
doesn't.
right? And so, what are
No.
you doing? Again, if it's a tool, right? It's a hammer. What's that hammer
Yeah,
for
man.
you that maybe gets your daughters off the phone and out in
Yeah,
life?
there's a lot of ways I can answer that question. Lots and lots of answers. But here's like a really kind of a profound but kind of silly way of looking at the answer to that question. I'm not really into like the food pyramid or the food my plate. I think they're stupid. Like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm really not into like those stupid posters that if you go into like a freshman health class, you'll see all these posters. You'll see this homeless dude, he's all cracked out and he looks homeless. And it says like in the caption, like, kids don't do crack.
Right,
Or it all started for me the first time I took that one joint in ninth
right.
grade. You know those posters, like fear mongering posters.
Yep.
These things suck because they don't reach anyone's heart. They don't reach the heart. It's almost like if you go to the community pool and it says, you know, no roughhousing. It's like, screw you, dude. The roughhousing is like the best part of going to the pool. Let's
Right,
do some chicken fights right now. Like, I'm not going
right,
to listen to you or like some skinny, like 14-year-old lifeguard that can't even save me. You know
right.
what I mean? I don't care about these things. And because they don't really reach my heart. So much of parenting um, is about really reaching our kids' hearts. And this is not easy. And it's not easy because of a lot of reasons. One is because their hearts might be more into what's on a screen.
Yep.
Two is a lot of us, we didn't learn skills from our parents on how to really reach the heart. Like, we didn't have good modeling or teaching from our parents about heart to heart connection or really having these intimate, close relationships with our kids. Many of us, we don't really even know how to share our hearts to our kids. Some other people are really, really bad at listening. They suck at listening. I mean, Americans suck at listening. We're like some of the world's worst listeners. But parents are really sucky at listening because if you think about it, the more you actually listen to your kid, the more crap you're going to hear that you don't like.
Right.
And then, like a math problem, then you're going to get tempted to get triggered to talk or to react, to lecture, to pep talk, to teach when they're just trying to talk and open up to you. So the thesis of this long-winded question, Brett, is how do we develop? The question is not how do we get our kids, how do we get them off a screen when grandma and grandpa come over? The question is how do I develop a really close connected relationship with my children so that they really know my heart and they know that I know their hearts in a way so that they want to care about me and they want to follow the rules of the house and they want to empty the dishwasher and clean the dog poop not because they're afraid of getting in trouble or getting yelled at or scolded, but because they love me. They love this family. They love grandma and grandpa. And we can trust them around these powerful devices like screens
Hmm.
so that their hearts are really connected to the family and the family values, and they know how to prioritize the distractions in our life. That's a long question.
No, it is, but it's a big one, right? Because again, you can fill in the blank. If it's not screens, it's the trash, it's whatever. So again, for you though, how do we do that though? Because it doesn't just, you don't just say, "Hey, love this family, yeah, care for this family," and then all of a sudden,
Well, let me
oh,
ask
you're
you.
right,
Okay,
you're right, right?
okay. How about this? Hopefully you're cool with this. Can I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
All right. I saw on your social media because I liked it. You recently took your family to my state, California, for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling that you guys had some great family time on this trip, making memories, frolicking
Yep.
in the Pacific Ocean, just
Yep.
being together, just sharing life, laughing, eating, barbecuing, just making memories. So tell us about some of the stories that you experienced last week. And do you believe that some of this bonding took place and it's going to help your sons become better men and to do better with their chores, to receive your coaching and your mentoring more because you just spent quality time, just bonding and being with your family?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt. And again, it was the times where they would come up and put their arm around you, and this is awesome. This is the best trip ever,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that for sure. That happens, but then there's also the times where it's four boys and it's time to go to bed on vacation, right? And
Yeah. Yeah.
dad's frustrated and exhausted, and
Yeah.
so you've helped me with that and through that stuff. And so how do we do that?
Yeah. Well, did you speak from your heart?
Yes.
And we can say to them, "Hey guys, love you guys so much. We had a great day here in Santa Monica, and I know you're having a good time, and I know you're teenagers, you're young men, but it's really your mom and I really want us all to go to bed because we got a big day tomorrow. It would mean a lot to us if you go to bed. Do you guys want to go to bed? Are you going to go to bed right now?" What would they say? Let's do some role
Yeah.
playing here.
Sure. Yeah, we'll go to bed now.
All right, cool. So, hey guys, can I trust you guys? Because I'm serious about this. We got a big day tomorrow, and we got your younger brother's right here.
Yeah.
He's little, so I really need to be able to trust you
Yeah, and I think
to
that's
go.
a big question, right? That again, you've helped me with is that can I trust you? Like even the trash, right? No kid. I shouldn't say no kid, but most kids don't want to just, hey, son, take out the trash. Oh, okay, and they jump right on it, right? They may not want to do that, but
Yeah,
hey,
yeah,
can we take out the trash? And then instead of demanding that it be done in that moment, right? It's can I trust you that you're going to get this done, and whatever in a timely manner. And
yeah.
that
So,
can
yeah,
I trust you is a
yeah,
big question.
yeah. Because what we're doing here as parents, what we're doing as parents is so much more than meets the eye. Your kids are never going to take class, for example, on the psychology of trust, how to build it, how to break it, how to repair it, what it even is. And so our kids, we want them to be able to trust us to take them on nice vacations, to provide food for them, to support them. But one of the things we're doing here, kind of we're talking about here, is this us stepping into the role of what's called an emotion coach,
Hmm.
where we're teaching our kids a lot of things, whether it be a great California vacation, we're teaching them about the importance of family time, the importance of working hard and celebrating your successes. But in this little role playing we just did, we're also teaching them about the psychology of trust and why it really matters in this relationship. Because if these kids were to be defiant to you and they'd be up at 3 a.m. on a Santa Monica vacation, I would be pissed. Would you be pissed?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's such a violation of trust, right? It's like, guys, I brought you out here to the West Coast and I'm able to trust you to work together with the schedule because we're going to wake up at 9 a.m. and you guys are young and you have a younger brother. And so yeah, I'm not saying you can't demand your kids to go to bed, your teenagers to go to bed at 11 p.m., on a vacation, do whatever you want. I'm just telling you, look more than meets the eye, because
Yeah.
if you can really have your kids look you in the eye and say, yeah, you can trust me to empty that dishwasher. And then you have something beautiful. You have something in your relationship with your kids that a lot of
Yeah.
parents don't have, which is a trusting relationship,
Yeah. That's the
right?
QBQ,
Which
right? I call it the question behind the question is that, can I trust you, or whatever the question is. I think getting them involved in that versus, and again, I'm not perfect at this. I'll still make the demand. But what I find is when I actually slow down, ask the question, it goes better, right? Ask the question of what needs to be done. Let them come
right.
up with the idea versus, damn it, go to bed, right? Like,
Oh my
I
gosh.
don't know, man. I think it's a lot different. It's a hell of a
For
lot
sure.
different.
Here's a story I just thought of. Okay. All right, man. So you got 4 kids. You got 3 teenagers or 2?
Getting ready to be 3. Yeah, one's turning
Yeah.
12
All
next
right.
week,
I got
or
2.
13. I mean, next
I
week.
got
Yeah,
2. Yeah. We parents, we think in our minds, this is our mindset. In our poor mindset thinking, Brett, we think that parenting should be like something we see in the movies. Like these kids just should naturally just obey us. But
right.
that's just not reality, especially in 2020, 2023. It's just obedience is not like it used to be. And so raising kids, especially like raising teenagers, is really more like this. It's more like, imagine your plane went down and you're there on a deserted island. It's just you. You're the only adult, and the whole island is filled with teenagers. Okay, you with me with this example?
Yep. Yep.
Now you're wise. You got grays. You got gray in your hair. You're like, I know a lot about life. So naturally, as a good adult you are, you speak up. You're like giving direction. Okay, we need food. We need water. We need shelter. We need spears. We need some farming. We need someone to do the SOS. We need to do this, right? This is what most
Right.
adults would probably do. You vibing with me?
Yep. Yep.
Especially men like me and you. It's like, let's take charge and let's do this. Right? We're
Right.
giving out direction. It's almost like it was one of the best shows of all time, Lost. Oh my gosh. Like, I think Jack, he was like, he kind of took charge in a sense. And it's like a fairy tale because people kind of submitted themselves under Jack, the leadership in the TV show Lost. But that's just a total fantasy because in the real world, you can't just go around and tell people what to do. And you can't just go around and tell teenagers what to do because they don't want to do that. They're very selfish beings, just like
Right.
we are. They want to do things their way on their time. So what should you do then? Well, in what I kind of help parents do using this as like an analogy is, how do you build, trust and relationship with the people in your life? Remember, they don't, like, for example, they don't really they don't really care what you know until they know that you care. They don't
That's right.
care what you know until they know that you care. How do you teach them about teamwork? Or how, treating your sibling with love and respect while you're driving in the minivan? It really matters. It affects the whole family, right? If you don't do your chore, then that's going to create like a chain of negative vibes because then one person the adult is going to be like, hey, you didn't do your chore. And then it's going to go over here and then it's going to go here. It's like a web of connection, a web of positive, good connections, or like this web of this train. We've all felt that. You felt that,
Right.
right? You feel it
Yep.
you feel it
Yep.
on a vacation. And on vacation, it's like highs are so high and lows are so low. Like you have a big blow up on family vacation. It's like the worst.
Right.
Oh, it's like, what the hell? You go all the way out here, spend all this money, and the kids are acting
Right.
like bozos. It sucks. So yeah, so what research shows us now in conclusion is that authoritarian parenting is not very effective. It doesn't produce obedient kids. It produces defiant kids or sneaky, lying, disrespectful kids. On the other extreme, is we'll call it like passive or permissive parenting. Research shows us that's not very effective to create
Yep.
great kids because kids need parents, they need morals, they need teaching, they need wisdom, they need boundaries. And so, what we're kind of talking about on this podcast, Brett, is how do we thrive as everyday authoritative parents, emotion coaches, parents who are really connected emotionally to their children, who want to listen, who want to be close and empathetic and want to hear. But we're also the parents. So we set the tone, we set the values. But we're flexible, right? We're those like managers that you want to work with. We care
Yep.
about your feelings. We know that you're different than us. You have different ways of looking at things. You're not like a bonsai tree that I can snip and mold just to my selfish liking. You're more like this wildflower and you grow where you grow, how you grow. And I want to share in this whole thing called life and have this privilege, because it is a privilege, of mentoring you. That's like a little thing. And then you can take that to the island and you can bring love and order to that deserted island, to a group of young people who desperately need it.
Yeah. I think, and hopefully it's okay if I share some of the tools we've worked through. I'm not taking your thunder away from your coaching and going too public with that,
Let's
but
do it. Yeah, let's get
I think it was,
specific.
I look at the three things, and I'm looking back through my notebook, through my journal, is, what are my desires, right? What are my desires in my relationship with my wife? What are my desires in my relationship with my kids, in our business, whatever it may be? What are my desires?
Yep.
When those desires aren't met, what are my reactions, right? What are my reactions? How am I reacting? Do we act out? Do we place blame? Is it control? Whatever, right? Whatever the words are that you want to use. But I think it's been really important to me is to find out what my buttons are, right? We all know, like if you and I were best friends and together every day, I would know your buttons, right? And I would know exactly what button to push to piss you off if I wanted to, right?
Yeah.
And our kids, and I can do it to my wife, I can do it to my kids, I can do it to whoever, right? I know what button to push. And I think the more I have found out on what my buttons are on that stuff, that's the game changer for me is, I realize the button is getting pushed. Now I have to control my reaction to that. So when you hear that played out that way,
get a little deep. Let's get a little deep with each other right now, because based on what you just said, I feel like you kind of gave me permission to ask you this question.
Yep.
One of our first times talking to each other in a session, you struggled in picking some of the words to really know yourself.
Yep.
It's like you had more words that I would determine as just like kind of not as descriptive words, like angry or frustrated. I'm not a big fan of those words, and I think you aren't either now, because and I invited you to go deeper, get to know yourself, pick some deeper words. So do you feel comfortable sharing with me or with anyone, what are some of the words that you've landed on that, like, when these buttons get pushed for you, it's like really hard, and then I can go after you?
Yeah, I mean, if my buttons get pushed, and it, again, whether it's go to bed or whatever it may be, it could be disrespected. There's guilt. There's invalidated, uncared for, powerless, unappreciated. Right? Those are the things for me that hit. That's what hits me at home. Right? That's what hits me right in the gut, and then that's where there may be a reaction. And again, you and I joke. It's like, well, it could be a hell of a lot worse, right? We're very lucky with the families that we have. But I think if you want to be that best parent possible, we have to understand those buttons and what those things are, and then how we react with those.
Thank you for sharing those words, because those are big words. And somebody, I just started a podcast. It's called The Sean Donohue Show. We only have like a few episodes released, but my co-host, Jordan, he's a weatherman on the Weather Channel, a good buddy of mine. We grew up in San Diego together. He even asked me on the last episode, which I think
a weatherman in San Diego. That's a tough gig. I'm just kidding. Hey, it's 72 and sunny again. But I think it's getting hotter there now.
Yeah, when you grow up in San Diego, there's like so many cultural things that are different than like how you grew up everywhere else. Like, I'm in Northern California now, near Sacramento, but San Diego there's like a ton of different things. I wish we could talk about it right now, but we got to talk about parenting. But okay, I get distracted. Weatherman in San Diego, right? So we grew up in San Diego, but he asked me, Sean, why do these words matter? You're always like picking on words. Like, you don't like the words mad or angry. Why? On the last episode, because as you know, Brett, maybe more than anyone, like, mindset is really important. It's how do you talk to yourself? How do you counsel yourself in those moments? So what I have determined and found is that one of the ways that we as parents can best be the best parents we can be is to get to know our words and to talk to ourselves. So when your kids are acting like bozos and they're acting out, you don't just react. You talk to yourself, say, what's happening with you? Well, I don't know. I'm feeling really, invalidated right now. Why? Well, because it's like what I say, it's like they're saying it doesn't matter. I hate feeling invalidated, right? What else are you feeling? Yeah, I'm feeling really unheard. Yeah. Why are you feeling unheard? Well, because I freaking already said it to the dang kid twice. He's just not hearing me. Right. So why is that so hard for you? Why is it so hard for me? Well, because I hate feeling unheard. But why? Feeling unheard is a normal part of parenting. I know it is. I know. I know. But what are you going to do about it? I don't know. I'm just talking to myself right now. That's what I'm doing. Right. What are you going
Right.
to do after this? I don't know. Okay. Well, remember your training. What should I do? Well, I feel like I'm doing it right now. Right. You're talking to yourself. Right. So, right. Unheard. Yeah. Because when I go to work, people respect me there. Like they listen to me. I don't feel unheard at work. And I come home around these little humans that I freaking bought them new lacrosse sticks. I took them on vacation in Texas. I just bought them new Nikes for $150. And now they do me like this. I'm feeling so unimportant right now in their lives. And I just want to freaking punish them. I want to teach them. You dare treat me like this. Or you know what? Maybe not. Maybe I'll just have some whiskey. I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 glasses. So maybe 6. That'll take the edge off. See what we
I'll
do?
take the
See?
edge off, right?
And why? Why do we do all this? It all goes back to because the adult in this is feeling unheard and invalidated.
Mm.
This is how we escalate things so quickly in our minds. I mean, parenting is so emotional, you know?
Right. That's amazing. And you're right, man. We did. Yeah, absolutely. So what, dude, that could go 1,000 different directions. So what do you do if you're okay with sharing, like in the moment? Cause you can't just ask yourself these questions and know your desires and know your reactions and know your buttons and never just still like be fired up. Right. And so what do you do? Help us parents. And again,
Oh
maybe
man,
I'm
I
the
get
only
fired
one.
up.
I don't think so.
Let's
But how do we do that?
okay. Yeah, let me about 2 months ago, you and I were chatting about that bracelet on your wrist. I think it's like is it called a Whoop?
The Whoop bracelet. Yep.
Can I answer a question by incorporating that and getting your thoughts on the Whoop?
Absolutely.
All right. So I'm really intrigued because I have 2 clients now that have talked to me about the Whoop, Brett, you and this other man. And you've is it true that the Whoop can tell you even your sleep patterns and your recovery patterns? Is that true? Can you tell us a
That
little bit
is
about
true.
that, and then I'll build off that?
Yeah, absolutely. It'll tell me my recovery based on numerous things, but from basically what I ate the day before to my sleep to my water intake to if you had alcohol, if you had stress, no
Right.
stress. I mean, it's all sorts of
Right.
stuff that really comes into how my recovery is or how my sleep was.
So I was working with this man. We'll call him. I'll give him a weird name. I'll give him a unique name. We'll call him Sebastian. I don't know. That's not a new name. I don't know. I just making up names. And he was taking my advice because he's letting me coach him. I was working with like 2-3 days a week because he was going through some hard stuff with his partner, his girlfriend, fiance. And he says to me, Brett, like, oh my gosh, like I feel so funny this week. My Whoop is telling me like my body is doing really, really, really well. But his workout patterns hadn't changed. His diet hadn't changed. So tell me, you're the Whoop. You know more about it than me. What do you think happened with this man? Why was the Whoop telling him that he's in the green, which is like positive sleep and recovery? What's your take on this?
Yeah, well, I would assume, and this you did not tell me about this, and you're not paying me to say this, but I would assume that the more clarity he has and peace he has internally, the better his recovery is going to be, right? So when I handle stress better, and whether that's meditation or just anything, right? If I'm on my A game, my recovery is going to be the same, even with the same amount of water, same food, same sleep. You can vary on your day, right? So I would say the fight or flight. There's less
Oh
flight or less fight,
yeah.
if you will, because of the coaching and just more self-awareness.
I'm a big fan of Andrew Huberman, which is
Yep.
this scientist from Stanford. He's been on Joe Rogan a lot. I just was looking at his YouTube. It's like huge today. So I'm no Andrew Huberman, but let me do my best Andrew Huberman
Well, it's funny you
impression.
say Andrew Huberman because he's part of Whoop. He's one of their spokespeople now on
Oh,
the
yeah,
stress
he
management
is.
side of
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Right. So let me do my best impression. So, all right. So, in the science of love and attachment, we often talk about it with our partners, right? Our spouses. But I teach about attachment theory through a parenting point of view. And I usually think about it as in our goal is to develop healthy attachments with our children so they feel attached to us. But I feel like we need to speak more about how attachment theory is really all encompassing in our lives, even as our children's parents. So, oxytocin is the love hormone, which is essential for like bonding. But that's not only bonding with our spouses or our partners, but also for our children to bond with us. So if you go and you spend all this money on this amazing vacation, but you ruin the vacation by arguing or with screens, you may not be having this oxytocin released, and you're like missing out on even the point of a family vacation is not just to do X, Y, and Z or to fill it with dopamine. Serotonin is it really controls happiness and well-being, and it can change depending on concentration, daydreaming, but really where that releases is when trust is being built, safety is being built, empathy is being shared. So if we think about how do we be the best parents we can be and raise amazing adults, we think about it, it's in these moments. It's in these moments whether you're driving your kid to school and you just share a little time of chit chat or a little positive word. It's when you grab your daughter by her shoulders and you look at her and you say, "Gosh, I love you so much. You are so beautiful. You are my girl." It's when you look your son in the eyes and you say, I'm just so proud of the man that you are and are becoming. It's not only in those sweet, special moments of Christmas when you're sitting down and all is right in the world and all the presents have been open. You feel like, gosh, this is like a dream come true. But these moments, they can happen every day for us. We just have to slow down and realize like, this is it. Like, this is like it. Parenting is so temporary. Is today our kids are only going to be this age for one day. I even said that to my family just yesterday. It was Easter day, and one of my daughters, my wife, wanted to take a picture because we went to church. My wife wanted to take a picture, and one of my daughters, don't blame her at all. She was hungry, she was salty, and she's like giving my wife attitude about a picture. And probably said something like, "Why are we taking a picture?"
Right.
And I could have let that push my buttons. I could have reacted. I could have scolded. I could have, gone into, given some type of weird lecture or gotten weird on Easter. But
Right.
I wanted to be the adult in the relationship. And I just said to her, "Look, sweetie, let's just do this for mom. You guys are only going to be this old today. So let's just take a beautiful picture." Of course, the picture sucked because the sun was in our eyes and it didn't work out, but who cares? That's just part of the fun, right?
That's another story.
Right. So yeah. So what I do for myself is the first thing I do to myself, because you asked me, what do you do? I've given you an example of what I do. I
Yeah.
talk to myself, and this is how I talk to myself. And yeah, I can tell you stories about my self-care, taking my freaking puppy for a walk, or walking down on a lake because we live on a lake, or watching the Warriors in the playoffs, or going fishing, which is my jam, or backpacking. But the number one thing we can do as parents, as business people, is the art of mindset, of learning to talk to ourselves in a healthy, productive way.
That's strong, isn't it? Because the negative self-talk is the complete opposite, obviously, but how damaging that can be. Right?
We all know you and I can nerd out right now. You want to share a couple of things, and I'll share a couple of things. Let's get vulnerable. What are some negative things that you say to yourself sometimes that sabotage, your mindset? And I'll share some things after you.
Well, they're just even like little things. Like it could be, my wife and I were joking about this yesterday. Is the place we were going to have food with everybody, family and stuff, has not always been the best. It's good. It does the job and does all this stuff, but it's the mindset of going into it. So I can focus on the bad fried chicken, or I was able to focus on the wonderful breakfast that they have and the salad.
Yeah, man.
And so that,
Yeah.
and that's so stupid, right? But it's true, right? That
No,
that
it's
can
not stupid
impact
at
how
all.
that's how it can impact my day
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
that. And it's all about
Not
what we
stupid at
focus
all.
on.
Well, it's actually, it'll impact your parenting, right? Yeah. If you spend all
Yeah.
this money and you focus on the crappy fried chicken, I think you said, or whatever
Yeah.
it was. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
gonna. And then if and then that might even affect one of your kids because they're like, dad's being moody or whatever, and then that's gonna just set off a chain. You
Right.
know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's parents are teachers, and every home's a school. So we're going to teach our children the most important lessons in life. It's not a school teacher's job or principal's job to teach our children these important things. And one of the things we want to teach them is that this person is allowed to have their feelings or to be moody or to be negative, and that's okay. But let's not let that or what they're going through make us, go through something. And that is very challenging mindset right
Right.
there. That's a very
Absolutely.
challenging truth, because what we have in a lot of families is this chain reaction where one person gets all butthurt about something. You work with teenagers when you say butthurt. Have you heard that term? I
I
really like
have.
that
Yeah.
term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah. It's a good one. And then it just sets a chain reaction. And now you're back in the car and it's like, what the crap? There goes the day. You know what I mean?
Right.
I
Yep.
mean, that's sad, right?
Yeah.
That's why we want to be the adults in the relationship and not to be in a codependent relationship with a child.
Yeah.
Easier
Right.
said than done.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. It made me think too about, I'm a big believer in having my kids, go and do and create their own experiences, right? So California can be an experience since that's new, but I also want my children to believe in themselves enough to go make things happen, right? Go create things. Like in business, in life, things don't
Yes.
just happen, right? You don't just become successful as a parent coach by sitting around and saying I'm a parent coach and putting a TikTok video out. I mean, it's the work, it's the effort, it's the grind, right?
Yeah.
And then you
Right.
become successful, but you made it happen. I've been successful by making it happen. And so, it's funny and how kids work, but they know all about YouTube, right? So the two things that were mandatory when we went to California, go to Dobrik's. There's a guy named David Dobrik, I guess, on social media, YouTube.
Yeah,
He's
it's very
huge.
famous. Yeah, what is Dobrik's? I know about David Dobrik. He's a huge YouTuber.
Yeah, so David Dobrik has his own pizza joint on Sunset Boulevard in LA, and so we had to go there, right? We buy the cool hats like you guys wear there.
Oh yeah,
That's
I
what
was
my kid got.
assuming you got to get some swag. Yeah, if you're
Yeah,
gonna
I
go
get some
there.
swag. That's how David's making probably millions off of YouTube and selling
Gosh,
pizza. It was damn good pizza, by the way. But then the other one was
very
Cool
nice.
Kicks, right? So there's this shoe store called Cool Kicks that my kids only know because of YouTube.
Okay.
It's where they sell overpriced Jordans, right? It's, there's 500 pairs of Jordans in there and you've got to pay an arm and a leg for them. But anyway, my point to this is make things happen, right? My 15-year-old walks up to the owner of the store. He's on YouTube Live, again, how they know about it, while he's on YouTube Live, and says, hey, why don't we have a dunk contest? And if I win, I get a free pair of shoes. He's like negotiating with the guy, right? And
That is
and
so
so
a dunk. You say a dunk contest?
yeah, so they have a basketball hoop, like an 8.5-foot tall basketball hoop out in the lobby area, that the big shoe store.
Very good. Yeah.
The dude's like, ask the people on the screen, right? And so next thing you know, my son's holding court on their YouTube channel asking, and of course they do it. I'm not bragging about this. My point is creating opportunities, right? As parents, I think we have to teach our kids to go create opportunities. So he ends up shockingly getting beat in the last dunk, right? Out of 3 dunks. But he gets 25% off his shoes and a free sweatshirt. The rest is history. But it was a cool experience, and they think it's the best thing of the whole vacation, right? But my point to that long story again is creating experience, man. Let the kids go fail on their own and get told no.
Yes,
I don't know if the guy was going to say, this is the stupidest idea ever, get off my show, kid. But he loved it, right?
What a great story. Let me, don't you know when you're arguing with your wife or your spouse, like, don't psychoanalyze me. Can I, in a positive way, can I psychoanalyze this story?
Yes.
All right. I mean, I love this story. That's a 5-star story because this is that story could. I'm just psychoanalyzing you for fun. We're just having fun here. It really says a lot about you and your wife. This is the type of man that you have raised. You have built a loving home where your kids love you, they trust you, they respect you. And so they care about your morals and they care about your lessons in life. And so, and they see that in you and they value it, right? And so you have instilled this quality in him. And so this story is about him, but from an outsider's point of view, it's also just a great story. It's a great success story for you, Dad.
Yeah, well, thank you, man. It was cool. It was very cool, and but again, about creating experiences, I think you create your own future. So that achieving a future greater than your past, we have to go create it ourselves.
And here's a tip. Let's all be like Brett. Let me try to expand on this teaching that Brett just told us. I'll just say the same thing Brett just did in a different way. So as parents, we want our kids to follow our rules, but we also want them to adopt our values. But they're very different things, right? They're very different. And the more you realize that they're different, the better. The more you realize that there's like maybe 20 rules for our kids to follow, but there's probably 20,000 values. So Brett is talking about one of his values. Go out there and create your life. Be bold. Be adventurous. Don't be afraid of rejection. Don't be afraid of public embarrassment. You have been verbally and non-verbally teaching your sons that since they were in diapers. And look what you did. Now they could be like, oh, screw my dad. Oh my God, my dad is such a lecturer. Gosh, my dad this. My dad did. Gosh, all my dad cares about is making money. My dad is so this. He's on his podcast all the time. He talks more to the podcast people than he does us. All he does is come home and give us lectures. That's not what is happening here, right?
Right.
He's like becoming a chip off the old block because you've built a connected, attached relationship, and now you're seeing your values come to fruition. And that story is just one example of that story. So good job, Dad.
Well, thank you. That's not why I told the story, but I do appreciate that. But it is it's important to, I think, for us as parents out there to go out there and have our kids, let them go fail, right? Let them go fail, and that's okay.
Failure is beautiful. Failure is beautiful, especially when our kids fail and they know that their parents aren't going to bail them out, but their parents aren't going to lecture them. They're not going to shame them. Like the world's greatest coach, their coach is going to be there.
Yeah.
To give them a pat on the back, maybe give them a hug, maybe be that shoulder that they can cry on, and to look me in the eye and say, I believe in you. I'm your biggest fan. You got this. Yeah.
Yeah. So let's end it with this, Coach Sean Donohue. What's the one thing, if I followed you around, as a parent, but I think it's important for self-care for yourself. If I followed you around every day with a camera for a week, what are the no-miss items that I would see you doing to make sure you're at your best?
Oh, definitely taking walks down to the lake is so key. Like if you ask your local psychiatrist or therapist, they might say for you to get on some medication, everybody. But I take walks to the lake. I played pickup hoops this morning at 5:45 in the morning.
Nice.
At the local gym, I played pretty well. My game's pretty decent. And the number one thing I do is what I tried to model in this episode, Brett, is everywhere we go, our mind goes with us. So you want to go on a Jamaican vacation, go for it. You want to take walks to the lake every day, do it. You want to move to Florida for a better life, do it. But everywhere you go, your thoughts are going with you.
Amen.
So the most powerful voice in our life is our own voice. So how we talk to ourselves really matters. How we define success really matters. How we care for ourselves really matters. So as we do this emotional work in parenting, as we try to regulate our emotions over a dirty cat box or over a salty teenager who's complaining on their vacation, realize, before you react, talk and be your own counselor, and care for yourself in excellent ways.
Strong. Very strong, my man. Where do our listeners find more of Sean Donohue? Where should we be sending them? We'll put it all in the show notes
Yeah,
here.
thanks. Yeah, you can find me on social media as The Family Coach on YouTube. My new podcast, The Sean Donohue Show, Instagram, TikTok, or you go right to my website where you can get a whole bunch of free goodies and articles. And that's parentingmodernteens.com.
parentingmodernteens.com. Sean, it's been awesome being with you today, my friend. And having spent hours with you, you're making a huge impact in the world, brother. So I appreciate it.
Hey, you're making a huge impact in your world, and some of that is through your business, Brett. But you're changing the world through your parenting and these 4 boys you're raising. So keep it up.
All right, man. Great being with you today. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks.